Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to Canning 101. Before we start actually going through the processes of canning, we need to have a talk about safety. You know the equipment that you need. Now we need to talk about how to be safe about it. The big thing that everyone worries about, of course, is botulism. Now, I don't want that to be a dirty word. I don't want you to freak out and go, oh my God, I'm going to kill everybody. Let's not do it. There are a few basic rules that you need to follow. Botulism is everywhere. It's everywhere. It's on everything, all over the world. No matter where you live, it's in your soil, it's in the air, it's everywhere. Most of the time, it is benign. It's not going to hurt you. It's when it starts growing out of control, that's when you have to worry. The environment that it grows best in is without air and non-acidic. So, anything that is acidic, botulism can't grow in it. This is where we get our water bath canning. Water bath canning is for anything that is acidic. Things like fruit butters, jellies, jams. Most of the fruits that you would can are acidic. Not all. So before you go canning, it's a fruit, it's fine. Before you go canning, check. Make sure that it is an acidic fruit. Your berries, they're pretty much all good. I don't think there's any berries that aren't acidic. Peaches, pears, a lot of things like that are very acidic. You don't have to do anything to it, to make it more acidic. Melons, however, are generally not acidic, so you don't want to be canning those. Anything pickled, because of the vinegar, you generally use vinegar, either white vinegar, apple cider vinegar, whatever, it doesn't matter. The vinegar is very acidic, so you would have a lot of that in there for the pickling process. Pickles you can can in a water bath. Now, tomatoes, while tomatoes are acidic, not every tomato is created the same. Some tomatoes are way too alkaline to be able to water bath can them by themselves. A lot of the store-bought tomatoes, they've been bred to be less and less acidic. So tomatoes, there's a range. The ones that you're gonna grow out of your garden and can from there, most of your red ones will be fine, but like yellow tomatoes, they're not as acidic. So not all tomatoes are created the same. Unless you're going to actually test the acidity levels, you're going to have to add a little bit of lemon juice if you're water bath canning your tomatoes. Tomato sauce, diced tomatoes, whole tomatoes, crushed tomatoes, stewed tomatoes, whatever. Unless you're testing, you're going to add a little bit of lemon juice to it, just to be on the safe side. It really doesn't add flavor to it, so it's not like you're going to have lemony tomato sauce. Pressure canning is for your non-acidic items. Pretty much all other vegetables besides the tomatoes. Meat, chicken, most of your meals in a jar, like soup, chili, things like that. That's all non-acidic, and you have to pressure can them. Now, the reason that you need to pressure can the non-acidic items is because botulism doesn't die until you get to I think it's 240 degrees, which you get with pressure canning. Regular water bath canning, where it's just boiling water, does not get to a high enough temperature to kill the botulism. No matter how many hours you boil it, it's just not going to do it. So for those items, you need to pressure can them. And the thing is, if you do have botulism in your food, you can't smell it, taste it, or see it. And that's the danger. Now, I don't want you to be afraid of it. I don't want you to be like, well, I can't can because, I might kill everyone. Don't do that. There are very, very few people who have died from botulism over the last many years. This used to be a regular way to preserve food. But hey, you could go to a restaurant and still get food poisoning. So there are always risks, no matter whose food you're eating. If you know the rules and you follow the rules, then you can feel safe about your food. If you make sure that your food is properly canned, it'll be safer than going to a restaurant. Because people get food poisoning from restaurants all the time. Now, even if you have food that you know you've canned properly and it reached the right temperatures and for the right amount of time, you can still have a seal failure. If something has not sealed when you just canned it, you can put it in the refrigerator and eat it right away. But if something is on your shelf and you pull it off and it does that, just throw it out. When you have something that is properly sealed, you can literally pick the jar up by the flat lid and it won't come off. This is some fruit butter that I canned 2 years ago. So when you take your food off the shelf, you do need to make sure that it is still sealed. As long as it's sealed, you're good. When you open it, you should hear a sound of the air getting sucked in there quickly. And you'll recognize that sound. Also, when you're taking your jar off the shelf to eat, you look at the food. If there's anything growing on it, don't eat that. However, when you have like vegetables in water, and sometimes some of the vegetables will stick up out of the water a little bit, those sticking up out of the water will discolor, and that's totally normal. Now, as for storing your food, it's best to store it in a cooler, dark, dry area. You don't want too much moisture because these are metal lids, they can rust. You don't want sunlight to be on it. It will degrade the food faster. It won't make it go bad. You won't suddenly grow botulism or anything. High temperatures can also, or a big fluctuation in temperatures, can also cause the seal to break, and then you're introducing air into your food, and then it goes bad. Then there are the regular concerns of just making sure things are clean. Before you jar your food, you want to make sure your jars are washed, clean, soapy water, rinse them. Don't leave any soap in there. That wouldn't taste very good. But just regular cleaning. You don't have to sterilize them if you're processing them for at least 10 minutes. And almost everything requires at least 10-minute processing time. And I don't think I've ever canned anything for less than 10 minutes. So I've never sterilized my jars. I just wash them and keep them clean. I rewash everything before I use it. Even if it's been sitting clean, I still rewash it before I use it just to make sure. You also want to clean your food and make sure that the vegetables or fruits or whatever are clean before you can them. And that's really all there is to it, to making sure your food that you can is safe. So I hope this video has helped you, and join us next time as we get into the actual canning process. So bless you all. Shalom.